And this Youth Day, we've got it all for you. We spoke politics and transformation in sport earlier on. We discussed business. And now we are on the musical trip with somebody who inherited the talent, Thandi Ntuli, who began her musical career when she learned how to play the piano at the age of 4. Her love for jazz music only developed later on in life, and she has now become a celebrated jazz pianist and composer. She recently won the Standard Bank Young Artist Award for Jazz, and she's released a couple of albums. One of them, Exile, was named Apple Music New Artist Spotlight for March across the globe. And Ntuli is set to take the stage at this year's National Arts Festival for the Standard Bank Jazz Festival. And of course, I was honored and enjoyed her performance recently at the celebration of the Jazz Epistles book launch, and wonderful music that you performed on the night.
Thank you very much.
And you are from Soshanguve, right?
I am.
And you heard what I said earlier on, and I mean it respectfully.
No,
there
you're
is
not wrong.
music in Soshanguve, but not really that much.
It's not known to be a music hub, no.
Yeah, but in your case, anyway, you started at 4 playing the piano?
Yes. My mother loved the instrument. Yeah. So she got all of us, my older siblings as well as myself, to play. But because I'm the last born, when it came to me, I think she was advised by someone to start me earlier because the others hadn't stuck with it. Yeah. So that's how I got into music at the age of 4.
And probably because you spent more time with her somehow.
Yes, exactly. And I guess it worked out for the better.
Yeah, and I'll talk about the whole development thing and discipline that goes with becoming good at what you do. But all these accolades coming your way now, how do they make you feel?
They definitely, you know, I mean, as artists, we don't do this for accolades, but the accolades is, I think, something that's very important, because it's good to know that what you're doing means something to the people who consume your art. I think it's very rewarding for me.
It should be. I can imagine. I mean, if people that you hardly know or never knew, never met,
heard of,
on their own, without being lobbied by you, decide, we think this is a wonderful, great talent.
Yes.
It must mean a lot.
It does mean a lot. It means a lot, definitely.
So what's coming up at the Grahamstown Arts Festival?
I'm excited about that arts festival. I'm going to be performing music from my second album. I also have a performance with the collaboration band I have with DJ Ken Zero and Benjamin Jeft, as well as Spelelo Mazbuko. It's called Rebirth of Cool, so we're fusing hip-hop and jazz together, which is quite a fun project. And then there's also a collab project with 2 Swiss singers that we'll be doing as well.
And to also receive the global recognition from Apple Music, that is something.
That was, took the carpet under my feet. It was great. Yeah. Apple Music is, I mean, that's where most people consume music. And it was amazing because that's the executives at Apple Music, the people who get lots of submissions of music. They look at all the music that has been released in whatever period, and they choose which artists they want to spotlight. So that was a huge compliment for me.
Now, to go back to the time when you started playing at 4, I can imagine when your mother was teaching you, she was not teaching you like necessarily a student. I'm imagining. It was more like a fooling around thing, but the discipline of doing it repeatedly must have been the key. So just give me the routine of how you learned and how she taught you.
Well, she didn't teach me herself. I went for piano lessons with a teacher. I used to call her Auntie Ada. But I always had to practice. Like, if I want to go play outside, there's no playing outside without practicing piano, which used to irritate me so much. But it really did teach me a lot of discipline, because I think in that way you start learning that there is sort of reward for putting in work for the things you want to do. I also had a great teacher. You know, she used to always tell me, God helps those who help themselves. So you can be as talented as you want to be, but nothing's going to happen if you don't practice.
Exactly. Yeah, unless
And she was right.
unless
yes.
you put it out there.
Exactly.
But I suppose when you are young, and you mentioned going out to play with friends and so forth, that must be much more appealing than sitting at the piano playing the same instrument over and over
in
and over.
that lonely room.
In lonely room.
You can hear the TV that side,
Yeah.
and everyone's laughing, and you don't know what the joke is.
Yes.
Yeah, it did get a bit lonely, but I mean, there were many times when I wasn't doing the work, and my mom would say, "We can stop if you want to stop," and then I didn't want to stop.
But when did you get a feel, the hang of it, to say, "Hey, hang on a minute, this is my thing. I can continue with this thing and make a livelihood out of it and turn it into my life career"?
That must have been in high school. Yeah, in high school, that's when I started thinking along the lines of making it a career. But before, I just used to love playing, and I used to love the repertoire I used to come across. But in high school, when I started trying to write my own songs, then I'd play the songs at a school function, and then people liked the songs. That's when
you got the feedback from the
yes.
people that, oh, I'm onto something.
Yes, that's when it actually started becoming something I considered as a full-time.
The kind of artists or music that you listen to, that you fell in love with, that made you feel that you've got to be part of the whole world of music, which artists are those, and what kind of music?
In terms of all styles of music?
All styles, you know, but
okay.
There's something I say to some of the artists that I know, that what is it that touches you to believe that you must compose this type of song?
Sure.
I'll come back to that question in a moment. But when you listen to music, and there are specific people that when you listen to, or types of music, somehow you feel a personal connection to.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's true. I definitely would say Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
Definitely
Wonder? Which track of Stevie Wonder?
Oh my goodness, there's so many.
So
I
many.
think I still discover tracks that I didn't even know he wrote. You know, Stevie Wonder's written a lot of his own songs that we know him for, but there's many songs that other people sang that...
I like Love is in Need of Love Today.
Yes, Love is in Need of Love. I also love Visions.
Yeah.
I actually love that whole album. There's lots. Donny Hathaway as well, I would say, because of his incredibly beautiful voice. I could listen to it forever. Definitely locally, Miriam Makeba. Again, I don't think we'll ever hear a voice like that again. Maybe in the next 100 years. Babu Abdullah Ibrahim. Begim Seleko, of course, Moses Malolekwa.
But you are relatively young, right?
Yes.
And the artists that you're talking about
are older.
Are much older.
I know, I'm an old soul.
You're an old soul. So how did you then connect with these old souls?
I think I would say that playing the piano attracted me to music that had piano in it a lot. Yeah. So even when I looked at the pop music that I liked, like Stevie Wonder's music is not simple at all, but it's very palatable, and it's, you know, he's written hits that have been widely accepted by people. So I think it's that background of having that knowledge of the instrument and maybe the knowledge of harmony that's attracted me to the music. I'm not sure.
Yeah, actually, to imagine that he plays several instruments himself and he's blind, he cannot see, but yet produces that kind of music. And you can also take him for granted to think that he's a simple musician. If you think of I Just Called to Say I Love You, because all he has is doom, doom, doom.
Exactly.
And it's, it's easy, but it isn't.
No, it's not. And it just takes trying to play or sing one of his songs and you're like, yo. Exactly.
This is not Pap and Flays.
It's not Pap and Flays.
So in your case then, I go back to my earlier question, when you compose, what is the muse that you draw on that gives you the song and makes you believe and feel we have to record this song?
It's different all the time, I will say that, but I think the common thread is that usually when I'm practicing, I'll be practicing something and I usually stumble over something that I like the sound of. And then I play around with that. Maybe I think of a melody that works with that. It's really like putting together a puzzle, putting pieces together. But it's different all the time. Sometimes I can write a song in one sitting and I've got the whole song, melody, chords, everything, and I'm happy with it. Sometimes it takes months of reworking and working. Sometimes they never get finished.
And I've also heard that, you know, musicians are storytellers of sorts, that there has to be something, a story of sorts that you're trying to communicate through music. Is it the same thing for you?
It is, yes. I think mostly my music is usually me trying to work or trying to find a way to express myself, whether it be an emotion or just trying to understand the world through music, whatever it is. It's just my way of processing things.
But then there's the view that the genre that you are involved in, jazz music, is not regarded as appealing to young people. Is that a sense you get, that they don't really like jazz, or your experience is different? What do you think of young South Africans and jazz music, or maybe the way it's presented to them, whether by media generally or even performers themselves? There might be some disconnect somewhere. But from your experience?
From my experience, it definitely is not everybody's taste, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Culturally, I think it is marketed towards the older generation a lot more. It's packaged that way, but a lot of the people who come to my performances are my age group, and I think that says a lot about the fact that maybe the marketing around it needs to be regenerated. And I think this is happening all over the world, because the people who are doing big things across the globe are in their 30s, going up. So maybe it's just the focus on the legends.
You said something, and when you mentioned Stevie Wonder, you got me thinking. Because he said in an old interview, Stevie Wonder says that music is one song, really. He did not like to differentiate it. He said it depends which part you're listening to, and then that's the piece you like. But to him, and I suppose he meant the notes are the same, the scales and all of the things that you learn when you play music. It depends how you put them together.
Absolutely.
You go along with that?
I do agree with that, and I think that's where, you know, marketing messes things up, because when a person hears a song that they like it. They don't care if it's called jazz or
it's true. And some songs you'll hear down the line.
Yes.
You may have the album now, but it will only you'll connect with it 5 years down the line.
And that's the amazing thing about music.
or the same album, somebody will prefer one track and the other a different track altogether. And from your point of view, the performers that you've worked with that stand out, that really inspired you and gave you the confidence to go for it and made you stand out, are there any particular individuals that moved you to that extent?
You mean my peers, amongst my peers?
Your peers or whoever may have accompanied you as you were performing, as a headliner of the band,
I love working with the people I work with. They've been, you know, I think it's very special to find people that you can work with who not only come to the gig to play the music and get paid for the gig and go home. I feel like the music is as much their making as it is my own, because I'll write something at home and then they just take it to another level.
And they've got to give it themselves.
They do so generously. So I really am inspired by the people I play with all the time. My peers really, really inspire me. I think if anyone is following what's happening in South African jazz, particularly the younger generation right now, it's so exciting to hear the different voices. People are so different. People are writing incredible music. Mandla Mlangeni, Bokani Daya, Carl Shepard, Benjamin Jefter, Zoe Mundiga. There's
a lot of music. And of course, you refer to the legends, Miriam Makeba
yes.
and Abdullah Ibrahim,
yes.
quite a remarkable performer, especially
yes.
when it comes to your instrument.
Yes.
I think
performer, arranger, composer.
He's a must-listen-to person.
Absolutely.
Just like you, a must-listen pianist. And you will be at the Grahamstown National Arts Festival. When are you performing, by the way?
I'm performing on the 29th of June. That will be with my own project, and then on the 30th with Rebirth of Cool, and then I think the 2nd of July will be the Swiss collaboration.
Of course, and that's Thandi Ntuli. Her music is there, Apple iTunes. Download it. The Apple bosses believe she's great. I endorse her.
Thank you
and
very much.
She's got a wonderful album called Exiled, and those who will be at the Arts Festival, you will enjoy her music. But otherwise, those of us who won't be there at home, download that album. She's a great performer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tim.
That's Thandi Ntuli, our guest this evening. And that's all we had for you. And thank you for joining me on the Modise Network. And be sure to tune in tomorrow as I'll be on the couch, joined by ANC NEC member Ronald Lamola. And from me, good night to you.